My wife, 32F, and I, 27 male, experienced some relationship problems caused by an ex-boyfriend of hers that I believe to still be affecting us today. For some context, we first met when we were studying overseas and working part-time together at the same restaurant. I'm from Australia and she is from France. After a few shifts together, we became friends and then eventually started dating. I was 19, and she was 24 at the time. We dated for a little over 3 years before moving back to my home country, and 2 years after moving, we decided to get married. The problem started when my wife and I just got engaged. We decided to do the obligatory social media announcement posts informing everyone about our exciting news. Around a week later when I was sent a message request by an Instagram account I didn't know but saw that my wife and the person followed each other, so I thought it was one of her old school friends or something and decided to accept the request. By then, I had gotten over 100 messages from my wife's friends and family. I'd never met congratulating us, so I was expecting this message request to be more of the same. Instead of a congratulatory message and an introduction as to who they were, I was sent a bunch of screenshots of messenger chats that were in French and a message that followed saying that I should read these conversations to know how my fiancé is. I was feeling that something was a bit off, but still believing that this person was a family member or friend of my wife that's English wasn't very good. I decided to translate the screenshots to be able to respond to them. Naively, I translated them to think that they'd just be some cute messages to only read that it was conversations between two people. The topics included the recounting of sexual encounters, the sexual acts that they had performed, boyfriends, and how inferior Asian guys are to white guys. I am Asian BTW. I sent a message back to the person asking who the messages were between. They replied, saying that it was my new SL/T wife, and sent 3 sex tapes. I was in shock, and immediately, thoughts that she had cheated on me filled my mind. After sitting for a while and trying to comprehend what had happened, I decided that I would watch the videos to try to see if it is actually my wife in them. Later that night, after my wife had fallen asleep, I decided to watch the videos believing that there would be no way that the woman I had been living with for 5 years could do something like this. But to my disappointment, I confirmed that all videos were of her. The first 2 of the videos appeared to have the same guy and the third video and a different guy. To say I was furious was an understatement. I had literally watched the woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with fucking not 1, but 2 other guys. The most painful and infuriating things for me was seeing her acting in ways she never did with me and also doing certain sexual acts with other guys that I really wanted to try but she downright refused to do with me even after 5 years of dating and a proposal. I decided that I needed to confront her, thinking that she had cheated on me with a bunch of other guys. I wanted her to explain to me why she did it. After staying awake and waiting through the entire night and not being able to waiting anymore, I woke her up at 6 a.m. and showed her everything that was sent to me and asked her to explain what this all was. She immediately started hyperventilating, then began to cry. She kept repeatedly apologizing and begging me not to leave her and was like this for a good 10 minutes. After managing to calm her down, she explained that she never cheated on me and these videos were taken before we had met and that she didn't even know these videos existed. She also tried reassuring me that the messages were between her and her best friend and they would share everything about their lives with each other. She said the things they talked about were from so long ago that it felt like a different person had written the messages. She kept repeating that the things she said in those messages made her feel deep shamed and regret. It was so embarrassing to her that she ever acted and spoke like that. To try proof she wasn't cheating, she showed me the chat history between her and her best friend and found the exact same sections of the conversations and the messages between them and saw that they were from long before we had met. She also explained to me that the guy who sent me the message on Instagram was her first boyfriend from high school in France. He was apparently very emotionally and mentally manipulative during the time they were together, and for her to get any sort of affection or praise from him, she would do what he wanted and let him do whatever he wanted to her. She said she didn't understand how he was able to get the screenshots or the sex tapes that he didn't even take. We eventually came to conclusion that he had hacked into her account somehow. She said that the 2 guys in the videos were short-term Korean boyfriends from when she first moved to overseas. To say I was relieved was an understatement, but I still had the feeling of disgust when I looked at my wife. Over the next few months, I tried pretending that everything was okay, but I couldn't get over what I had seen. She was a completely different woman in my eyes. I know body count shouldn't matter, but reading the messages how many guys she slept with really bugged the shit out of me. We had told each other our body counts in the past and I wasn't bothered with it at all. She literally could have told me any number and I think I would have been fine with it as long as it was the truth. But now that I know that not only did she lie about the amount of men she had been with, but the fact that half those men were guys I knew quite well and considered friends destroyed me. I eventually told her how I felt when she blew up at me one day for not wanting to have sex with her. She started crying again and asked if we should cancel the wedding. I said we should consider it but not act on anything yet, hoping the way I was feeling was just a phase and that I would eventually get over it. The last thing I wanted was for my friends and family to ask why we're not getting married anymore and me having to explain the things that happened. We agreed to go to couples counseling together with the goals of fixing our relationship and getting married on the date we had set before that shit happened. We found couples counseling to be very helpful, and one of the best things we both liked while at our sessions was, we were able to try verbally express what we were feeling and literally have it translated perfectly into a cohesive explanation by our couples counselor. After 10 sessions, we had been given a list of strategies for us to use together to mend our relationship, and I had been referred to a psychologist to some private sessions that I was super beneficial. At this stage everything was almost much back to as it was before I was sent the messages, but I honestly never quite felt the same or trusted my wife again the way I used to. We did end up going through with the wedding believing that my wife's past shouldn't affect my feelings towards her, and that if we did end up breaking up, it would effectively mean that her ex succeeded in his objective and would have got what he wanted. About a year after our wedding, my wife planned a trip to France to visit all the family and friends. I was originally meant to go with her but couldn't, as I had just been given a promotion and had only been in the position about a month. While she was on her trip, I get another message on Instagram from her ex saying she only likes me, followed by another sextape of her. After watching, for a few seconds, I just assumed it was another old video that was taken and blocked him. I planned to show my wife what he sent, but ending up totally forgetting about the whole thing. Fast forward to today. We have been married for almost 2 years now and have a baby on the way. During one of her obstetrician appointments that I went to with her, there was talk of her possible due dates and around what day she would have conceived. While sitting there and listening, I was doing the maths in my head and realized something wasn't adding up. The period she would have had to have conceived is when she was back in France to visiting her family. I stayed quiet and convinced myself that I obviously wasn't calculating correctly because I've always been shit at maths, but I had remembered what her ex had sent me and had a gut feeling that something was very wrong. Eventually my insecurities got the better of me and I ended up watching the video he sent, trying to find any clues of when it was taken. Unfortunately, I concluded that the video must have been taken at some point when we were together, as I could see a scar on her pubic area that she had given herself by waxing when we were on our honeymoon. After thinking about this for a while, I've decided not to confront her with what I know. I'm not going to ask friends or family for support. I'm not going to go to counseling. The less people that know, the better. I don't think I can live with the shame of people knowing that my wife is giving birth to another man's child. I'm going to wait for the baby to be born to see if it is mine before I make any final decisions. Thank you everyone who read everything I had to say. I really need to get this out, and not being able to tell anyone what I was going through was driving me insane. Edit. I've had a few comments questioning the timeline. Our wedding was in September 2022. Her trip to France was in mid-December 2023, and she was there for about 5 weeks. The due date for the baby is in late September. Oop, thank you for the advice. I honestly don't think I can bother with trying to get the truth from her anymore. At this stage, I'm done with her. I just want to make sure that the baby's health isn't negatively affected in any way, whether he's mine or not. Update 1. It honestly feels like my life was pulled out from under me and I'm not too sure how to comprehend it all at the moment. A lot of people criticized me for not telling my wife about the latest video, and a lot of you also suggested that I check the EXIF data to see what date the video was created. Following everyone's advice, I did both. I first checked the metadata to see the creation date, which showed that it was taken on the 1st of January 2024 at 1:18 a.m. It was sent to me the 6th of January 2024. I kept in mind that people were saying that data can easily be edited and didn't take the newfound information too seriously, even though it looked like a relatively recent video. After seeing the metadata, I sat her down on the couch to tell her about her video. I went into the conversation fully prepared with a list of things to say I had made with my therapist. I made sure not to make accusations or even make anything I said sound like an accusation, and was 100% prepared for her to blow up at me for not telling her about it sooner. My therapist gave me a guide of how I should deliver the information and how I should attempt to give her back control of the situation by offering to show her the video, letting her watch it on her own and deleting it in front of her when she was ready. I started by saying that I had received another sextape from her ex and when I received it. Then I went into why I didn't tell her immediately after receiving it or after she got back from her trip. After giving my explanation, I asked her if she wanted to see the video, which she said yes to, so I gave her my phone and she pretty much immediately started the video as soon as I handed my PH1 over to her, which didn't give me a chance to get up and leave the room to let her watch it on her own. As soon as I heard the audio from the video, I immediately stood up and was turning to walk to a different room when she grabbed my pant leg and started profusely apologizing. I said there was nothing to apologize for, as this was from before she met me, and that I should be apologizing to her for keeping it from her. She asked me why I decided to tell her now, and I told her the truth about my concerns about the due date and how it wasn't quite making sense in my head, and that's when she lost it. She grabbed my hand and kept saying it was a mistake and that she wasn't thinking straight because she was drunk. My heart just dropped and I knew instantly what she meant by her repetitive ramblings. I told her to tell me what exactly happened or I'd leave immediately. Long story short, she cheated on me when she went on her trip to France with her ex that was sending me the screenshots and videos. They ended up having sex after catching up at a New Year's Eve party they were both at. They're from a small town in central France with only a population of a few thousand, and apparently, they had seen each other at the local supermarket a few days after her arriving at her hometown. My wife and her ex are from the same friendship group. They all went to the same kindergarten, primary school, middle school, and high school, which is how they ended up at the same New Year's Eve party. She also told me that her ex had admitted to hacking into her Facebook account to gain access to the sextapes she had made shared with her other exes. Although calling what he did hacking makes it sound quite sophisticated, she hadn't changed her password since high school and he still knew them when he got access to all her accounts. So fucking dumb. She begged me not to divorce her and tried to bargain with me, promising it would be the only time she'd ever cheat, promising that she'll be the best wife to me, letting me have sex with any and as many women I'd like, and even stooped so low as to offer sexual acts. I said I would only consider staying if she would do two things: give me her phone so I can go through her massages and get a paternity test done. She instantly agreed to the paternity test but was a bit more hesitant about handing her phone over, but eventually agreed. While looking through her phone I found more evidence that she cheated on me on New Year's Day, as well as evidence that she had cheated me one other time from her period tracker app. She uses the app to track her for her periods and sexual activity. I just had to go to the dates where I wasn't in the same country as her and see if she had sex or not. Unfortunately for her, she was very diligent with keeping track of her sexual activities. By this point I had already made up my mind about the relationship and just left. I'm currently staying at a hotel and will be moving into my apartment that I had been trying to rent out for a while. I've spoken to both my solicitor and my wife and have agreed to go to the mandatory counseling in order for me to be able to go through with the divorce, which will start in October. We've also agreed to get the paternity test done after the baby is born, and I got my in-laws plane tickets to come to Australia earlier than originally planned so they can look after their daughter. Promising it would be the only time she'd ever cheat. Now on to second story. Discovered my girlfriend regularly attends male stripper shows and lies about it. Now I am questioning our entire relationship and future. I, 28 male, and Jen, 26F, have been dating exclusively for 2 years and living together for 6 months. We live in the college town where we both earned our computer science degrees, but we didn't know each other in college. Jen is the classic cute nerd who loves playing video games and is a huge fan of Doctor Who. Jen has a good college friend, Amber, with whom she goes out with maybe once every 4 to 6 weeks. Usually, it's something low-key like a movie or dinner and drinks. Many times it's during the week, not the weekend. I have never thought anything of it because I've never had a reason to. Plus, sometimes Jen comes home really horny and wants to have sex as soon as she stumbles through the door. But other times she texts me to say she's going to crash at Amber's place. A few nights ago, Jen and Amber had a girls' night. She told me they were going to see a late movie and maybe grab some drinks after. Jen came home around 11 p.m., tipsy but not drunk, and basically jumps me in bed. We went at it until she fell asleep around 1 a.m. When I went to turn her light off, I noticed a pop-up on her phone with a QR code ticket pass to something called Men in Motion. I googled it. It's a traveling show with male strippers that travels around the country and puts on a male strip shows. And yes, the ticket was for a show tonight. Jen and I don't have an open phone policy, but I knew her password and I was more than curious. I checked her Eventbrite app ticket history and it looks like she has gone to a lot of these shows. I also looked at her photos and found a folder with over 100 pics of her with male dancers wearing not a lot of clothing. I'm struggling with the idea that Jen enjoys watching hot naked men dance and has been hiding it from me. I feel inadequate and uneasy about the situation. Although there's no evidence she cheated, there have been 2 nights she didn't come home that matched the dates of the shows. Yeah, I have a good memory. It makes me wonder if something more is going on. I've always trusted Jen, and I don't want to accuse her of anything without evidence. However, this whole situation is making me uneasy. How do I bring this up to her without making her feel like I don't trust her? And how do I deal with the nagging feeling that even more may have happened? Wibta, if I confronted her about this? Oop. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she has straight up lied to me a few times. Oop. But everything else in our relationship was fine. I have even been thinking about the next phase. Yeah, I know. This sucks and I think I know what I have to do. Update 1. It really helped me get my head on straight and realize I had been gaslighting myself. The shock of knowing my nerdy Jen was regularly watching male strippers, along with low-key feelings of inadequacy, I'm okay looking but I'm not ripped, blinded me to the fact that the active deception on her part was the bigger issue. Anyhow, here is an update on what's happened. I knew I had to talk to Jen. At home Thursday evening I told her I saw the ticket on her phone the night of the show, and asked her why she lied to me that she was going to the movies. She was initially taken aback and defensive but eventually apologized for not being upfront. She said that she and Amber just considered it a fun and even silly girls' night activity. Jen admitted she kept it quiet from me because she wasn't sure how I would react and didn't want to make things awkward between us by even asking. It was just something fun and naughty. She admitted that this was not her first time attending a show like this, but she couldn't remember how many times in the past. Jen also said something I never thought of, that she felt safe going to these shows, as it was an all-women environment, compared to bars and clubs where guys get drunk and hit on women. She reassured me that these shows were just to have fun and not about any dissatisfaction with our relationship. She said at least 3 times that she finds me attractive and was very satisfied with our sex life. She even said if it would help me process things that she and I could go together to a club with female dancers. Neither of us have ever been to a strip club with female dancers but thought it would be similar, and I could see for myself that it was just naughty fun and we could experience it together. After a couple hours of talking she grabbed my hand and took me up to the bedroom to assure me that I am still the hottest man in her life. Next day I was satisfied with her explanation. Jen didn't tell me how many times she had gone to these shows, but I chalked it up to her being embarrassed at me finding out and not wanting to hurt me anymore. I also didn't ask about the pictures. I didn't want her to know that I had looked at her phone, and there really wasn't any smoking gun evidence of infidelity. But the next day something still just felt off. Maybe me just questioning myself and my naivety up until this point. So, I reached out to a mutual friend of ours, Kirsten. Kirsten was part of Jan and Amber's college friend group, and I knew Kirsten casually from a few classes we had taken together. Kirsten and I weren't close at all and I hadn't seen her since graduation, but we reconnected at her wedding a couple years ago. The wedding was just around the time Jan and I became exclusive. Jan and Amber were both bridesmaids. Jan took me as her +1. As far as I knew, Kirsten and Jan didn't have much interaction after the wedding, which I assumed was just normal for married people to lose contact with unmarried friends. I messaged Kirsten Saturday. I used the pretense that I was thinking of taking things to the next level with Jen, and that since she was the first person in the friend group that got married and that she knew Jen, that she could give me some advice. What she said next stunned me. She said that she didn't know that Jan and I were a couple, and that she hadn't spoken to Jen since the wedding. She also said we should meet up for coffee so she can fill me in on some things in person, but not to tell Jen we were meeting. Holy fuck. We had coffee Sunday. Wow. Just fucking wow. Here is what she told me. I have written this chronologically so it makes more sense. 1. According to Kirsten, Jen was a virgin until her 21st birthday. As a joke, Kay, Ersten, Amber, and friends decided to hire a male stripper for Jen's birthday celebration. To everyone's shock, Jen really liked the stripper and she lost her virginity that night. 2. Jen got the stripper's phone number, and Kirsten said they met up with him a few times after the party for what Jen called a special private show. Jen was unabashedly proud of this. 3. Jen became more interested in dancers, and would do things like suggesting Magic Mike for movie night. Other times she would comment on guys walking around campus, making comments about abs and biceps and saying I bet he looks good in a thong. 4. Jen had a serious boyfriend after college and before we met that I didn't know about. According to Kirsten, their relationship ended when the boyfriend discovered Jen in bed with, a stripper. Jen had gone to a male review, hung out after the show, she managed to pick up one of the dancers and took him home. The BF ended up moving out of town for work, which is why I had never heard of him. The friend group knew about this mess and Kirsten figured Jen had learned her lesson. 6. At Kirsten's bachelorette party, where Jan and Amber were bridesmaids, Kirsten had explicitly told them no strippers. Despite this request, Jan and Amber arranged for 2 strippers to show up, and all 4 of them ended up having a foursome. Kirsten was understandably furious with them hijacking her bachelorette and blatantly disrespecting her, and ended the friendship with Jan and Amber, though she kept them in the wedding party because the wedding date was only a week away and she didn't want word of this to get out and overshadow the wedding. Looking back, I remember the vibe of the wedding felt off, and this was why. I could tell Kirsten was still rightfully very pissed about the whole situation, and said I deserved to know the truth. Over the course of an hour I went from stunned to furious. I'll spare you the ugly details of Sunday evening, but I broke it off and told Jen she has until the end of the week to move out. She was crying, screaming, begging, but at this point I had enough and told she could just fuck off and die. Among her excuses, there was nothing wrong with a woman liking hot men, and that it was all just a fantasy no different than guys liking porn. It got her horny and I got the benefit of it. I was being insecure, she really loved me and saw a future together, and this was something she could work through. Oh, she never slept with strippers after Kirsten's bachelorette, and that debacle was early in our relationship and shouldn't count, but who the fuck knows. Jen will be sleeping in the spare room for now, but I told her this is over. I will avoid her as much as I can until she moves out. I am not worried about her doing psycho shit. I think she knows I will go nuclear and tell her parents and family the whole story if she tries anything. So it's done. Thank you again for everyone who gave me the needed push to man up and confront this. Update 2. Jen finished moving out Saturday. No drama. I mostly avoided her. She made some attempts at reconciliation, but I think she knew it was hopeless. Some of you made helpful suggestions to protect myself, but mostly weren't needed. I wasn't worried about her trashing the place. She's not crazy, she just got caught. She also knew that I would go nuclear if she tried any stunts. In all years together she has never seen me this pissed off. Hell, I had never seen me this pissed off. I also wasn't worried about her trying to spin some story for sympathy. Our respective families live in different states, our friend circles, what's left of hers, don't overlap, we work for different companies. So there was no one for her to play the sympathy card on. Also, I wasn't worried about baby trapping, as I would never stick my dick in that again. Also, we are both well-paid IT professionals with plenty of disposable income and no desire to have kids. STD panel is clean. I did speak with Kirsten, former friend of Jen, to let her know what happened. One thing she said made me feel a bit better. She said that during and after college Jen was actually pretty selective in who she dated and was not into the casual hookup culture, and probably hadn't been with more than 5 guys total before me. With the obvious exception she had a hobby of fucking strippers. And yes, I know that sounds fucked up writing it. But she probably wasn't running around with load of random hookups behind my back. So yes, I may have been naive, but not that naive. One of my friends said this whole thing reminded him of stories about men with loving wives and families but who have some kink that can only be satisfied by hiring street hookers. Losing her virginity to a stripper may have done something to Jen's psyche that could only satisfied with some jack dude with oiled muscles dancing in a thong. Not my problem anymore. I am doing as okay as can be in this situation. I'm not really depressed because I am still pissed off about the whole situation. At some point I may go to a strip club just to see what they are all about.